Hi everyone, back in the summer of 2023, Apple TV released Hijack, a tense real-time thriller led by Idris Elba. And with the season 2 set to premiere later this week, I thought this was the perfect time to revisit the first season. My name is Sasha, and this is my recap and review. As always, a spoiler warning: if you haven't seen the first season, I would suggest you to pause this video and come back later. Also, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe. The season starts with Sam Nielsen, a successful business negotiator, rushing through an airport trying to catch flight Kingdom Airline KA-29 from Dubai to London. He's not on a mission, he's just trying to get home to his son and his estranged wife. Shortly after takeoff, everything changes. A group of armed hijackers seize control of the plane. The pilots follow protocol and immediately alert air traffic control that a hijacking is in progress. But the situation escalates quickly. The hijacker threatens a flight attendant who is secretly involved with one of the pilots and force him to open the cockpit door. Once inside, they fully take control of the aircraft. Stewart, the apparent leader of the hijackers, then ordered the pilot to call air traffic control again and claimed that the initial alert was a false alarm, that everything on board was fine. Before the hijacker can shut down the plane's Wi-Fi, Sam managed to send a warning text to his wife, alerting her to the hijacking. She passes that information to her new partner, Daniel O'Farrell, a detective with the Metropolitan Police. O'Farrell, in turn, contacts his ex-wife Sarah, who works in counter-terrorist command, and asks her to quietly look into the flight. As she digs deeper, inconsistencies in the information she receives begins to raise serious suspicions. Meanwhile, Sam works with the pilot to discreetly confirm that the hijack is real. By slightly deviating from the flight path and standard flight protocols, a change that is subtle enough to go unnoticed by the hijackers, they trigger a red flag among flight controllers who begins escalating the situation. On the ground, Daniel works closely with Zara and the counter-terrorist command to manage the crisis from London. As evidence confirms that the hijack is real, the situation quickly becomes political. Authorities are forced to weigh the risk of allowing the plane to remain airborne against the catastrophic consequences of shooting it down. With limited information coming from the aircraft, Daniel and Sarah investigate every lead on the ground, trying to make sense of the hijacking and stop the mastermind behind it. Throughout the flight, Sam walks a dangerous tightrope. At times, he helps the hijackers, and at others, he discreetly helps the authorities and his co-passengers. His goal, however, never changes: to make sure the planes land safely with no casualties. As the seasons goes on, we learn that the hijackers aren't the true masterminds. They are acting under the control of an external figure named Edgar, who has coerced them into carrying out the hijacking as part of a larger scheme, one designed to secure his release from prison and to profit from manipulating shares. By the penultimate episode, when the passengers begins to overtake the hijackers, it becomes clear that they're not the only players operating on board of the plane. You will have to watch the first season to know what I mean about that. One of the show's biggest strengths is its real-time structure. The 7 episodes unfold over the exact duration of the flight between Dubai and London, and the ticking clocks constantly raises the stakes. Unlike shows like 24, which jumped over multiple locations, Hijack lock its main protagonist into a single setting. Sam is stuck on that plane for the entire series, and that confinement keeps tension tight and relentless. Then, the cinematography inside the aircraft is another standout. The cameras often frame characters through seat backs, aisles, and a partially obstructed angle. It creates a constant sense of secrecy and unease. Visually, it reinforces just how little room these characters have, both physically and psychologically. Finally, while it's not a strength on its own, I did appreciate that the show isn't US based. Just because so many thrillers are set in the US, having stories unfold primarily in London gives it a slightly different flavor and it helps it stand out. That said, the show isn't without its flaws. The main issue that I have is about its realism. I understand that Hijack isn't a documentary on airline security, and thankfully, we don't have that many real world experience for that kind of situation. Still, it stretches credibility to believe that the government would allow a hijacked plane to enter the airspace of a major city, knowing it effectively represents a massive airborne weapon. The second critic that I have is smaller. The idea of a hijacker working for an external third party is a very good one, and it adds complexity to the story. However, the reveal that the mastermind had a backup operative on board comes very late in the season. It's an interesting twist. I just wish that it has been introduced or explored earlier. As for performances, here would be my 3 stars. The third star would go to Max Beasley as Daniel O'Farrell, the second star to Archie Panjabi as Zara Ghafour, and the first star, unsurprisingly, goes to Idris Elba as Sam Nelson. What ultimately makes Hijack worth watching is its focus on negotiation rather than spectacles. We don't watch it for constant action or shock value. We watch it for the tension in conversation, shifting in power dynamics, and psychological maneuvering. The series isn't perfect. Its realism stretches at times, but despite those flaws, it remains a compelling, tightly constructed thriller, and it is well worth your watch. What do you think? Give your thought in the comments below. Till next time, ciao.